It's one of the most coveted awards in the world that honors and recognizes the success and achievements of non-resident Indians across the globe. The Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Awards, powered by Global Indian International School, in its 4th season, salutes the spirit of non-resident Indians from the regions of Middle East, North America, Asia Pacific, and the United Kingdom. This week, we discover the stories of individuals who have achieved phenomenal success in the field of arts and have done exemplary philanthropic work.
Hello and welcome to the Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Award 2017, powered by Global Indian International School. I'm now in conversation with the winner of the NRI of the Year Award for Arts and Culture in the UK, Dhanodaya Srivastav, who also goes by Baluji Srivastav.
Thank you very much indeed for having me here.
We want to begin by talking about your journey, where it all started, from Ajmer to Lucknow to London, and now we have one of the best sitar players in the world. Tell us how it all started.
When I was born, after 6 days, my mother had a dream. And in that dream, she had all these goddesses were singing and playing music. And she told my father, and my father said he is going to be a musician. But that time I had eyes. And after 8 months, I became blind. And then when I was 6 years old, I was admitted into a blind school. And that's where by that time I could play harmonium, I could sing. And in that blind school, I used to play an instrument called banjo. In India, we call it banjo. And I got my first prize when I was 6.5 with the Queen of Gwalior. So I was already playing a few instruments and singing. But then I used to play in this blind school orchestra. We used to raise money for blind school. And one day my hand went out to a beautiful instrument. And I asked my teacher, what is this? And he said, don't touch it. It's a very big instrument and you're very small. You can't play. But I was being a very insisting child. I said, no, I want to play, I want to play. Yeah. I cried, and he gave me. As soon as he gave me, I started playing few scales, few notes, and he was so happy that he said, sitar is with you from now onwards. Wow. So when I was 8 years old, I touched my first sitar.
Was that the point where you decided that sitar is my instrument and all the other instruments can take a back seat? Because I know that you learned other instruments in your BA and your MA as well. You particularly like the tabla.
In Indian music, one has to learn tabla, sitar, or whatever instrument you want to play. But I chose sitar because after when I came back from my second blind school, I started playing music in different plays and different dramas. And everybody loved my sitar, so people chose for me. And luckily I could play any instrument, so I could play sitar, and sitar has become with me, as my teacher has said, when I was 8, and still it is continuing with me.
Talking about your migration to London, how was that? Were there any challenges?
In 81, one of my French students decided to buy a ticket for me for France so that I can go and teach him. Unfortunately for me, when I arrived, he fell in love with a girl. So of course, girl comes first. And I was totally bored and alone, very lonely. I wanted to go back to India. But by that time, I found few students who were so dedicated that I had to return my ticket back. And they were crying and falling on my feet. So I had to stay in France. But in France, when I was in Paris, because I wanted to go to India, luckily Linda, who is my wife, she came to Paris to learn mime in Jacques Lecoq, a college, and she didn't like the atmosphere there. And she wanted, because before that she was learning Bharatnatyam in Sri Lanka. So she wanted to learn Indian music. And that's where we started our relation. And she took me to UK.
And together you also started the Inner Vision Orchestra or the Baluji Music Foundation. Tell us about it. How are you encouraging more such students to pursue their passion for music and arts for specially abled children?
In UK, there is a different way of teaching than in India. In India, we teach with still oral tradition. In UK, we have to give them to write, and they write, and then they play, and they are very logical. They'll ask you questions, which in India, you're not allowed to ask questions to your gurus. You have to follow. So that kind of Guru Shishya Parampara is not in UK. Of course, we have to teach them some Western melodies, how to play on Indian instruments, or vice versa, Indian music on Western instruments. And that's how I give them workshops, I teach them, Saregama Pathanisa, of course, and all this. So they're very happy to learn that way. Inner Vision Orchestra consists of blind people from all over the world. London being a cosmopolitan city, and I used to listen in taxis, different kind of music, Turkish, Arabic, Greek, Indian, of course, Bangla, lots of music. And I decided, why can't I have one group where we can give variety show of different parts of the world? So we've got a Japanese musician who sings Japanese songs and plays viola very well. We've got an Iranian singer, she sings, an Arabic who plays oud and he sings, and so on and so forth. And Nigerian, and what music is not there? Gospel, blues, all kinds of music we have got.
So you've inspired generations of musicians, if I may say. And not just that, it's not just inspiration. A lot of people envy you because you've performed alongside some of the biggest musicians in the world, be it Stevie Wonder, Annie Lennox, and recently Coldplay at the Paralympics. Could you tell us how were these experiences? How exhilarating was it?
It was absolutely wonderful experience. I played with Stevie Wonder and 50,000 people listening in Hard Rock Festival. Yeah. And I didn't really believe there were 50,000. But when I heard clapping and so on and so forth, and of course 50,000 were only in the park, but it was telecasted. So a lot of people were listening and watching us.
It reached millions.
Millions, millions. And same thing happened with Coldplay. And Coldplay, actually, I didn't even know that he was sitting right next to me on my right and cross-legged like I was sitting. He was very good. I really enjoyed it. The same thing, I heard the clapping. Before I had headphones and I just didn't know how many people are there. When I heard the clapping, I just thought, my God, so many people. And in Tunisia, I sang an Arabic song in Carthage Festival, which was given to me, the text was given, and I composed music, and I sang in Arabic. And everybody loved it, because I didn't understand what I was singing, but everybody just loved it.
So talking about composition, it's very natural for a musician to experiment with composition. And we've heard some of your compositions in many movies and productions. So Tell us, was it always part of your plan? Did you ever think about composing music in the future?
I never thought of composition thinking like that because I always get some chances. I get story and I get compose music. And that happened when I was 14, 15 years old. I was walking through the street and somebody said to me, Balu, I want to compose music. I want you to compose music for a play which is called Gandhi Ji Ki Bakri, Gandhi Ji's goat. And I didn't know what composition means. So I said, okay, I can play some instruments, no problem. So I took one stringed instrument, I took naal, which is a drum, and I took some sitar, of course. Sitar was there. Whatever instrument came to my hand, I just played. Because I heard the story, I could hear the track, what he was doing. And according to that, whatever I felt, I played. For me, any improvisation which is recorded becomes a composition.
What is your message for other people who are specially abled or have limited means? How do they pursue their passion for music?
The message I give to blind people who are very, very good musicians sometimes, but they don't want to go out of their house. But I say to them, put one foot forward, the other has to follow. And that has encouraged a lot of blind people. And I'm so happy that those blind people who could not go out of their house, now they go out in the world and play music. And they say so. They keep saying that Baluji has given this message to us.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, and congratulations on winning the award.
Thank you very much indeed.
It's time for a short break. We'll see you on the other side. I'm now in conversation with the winner of the NRI of the Year Award for Philanthropy in the Middle East, Mr. Ronald Colasso. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Very few have the courage to give away what they've earned with so much hard work. You migrated to Oman and became a successful businessman, and then you started with your philanthropy work. Tell us, where did it all begin?
In fact, I left the country during 1975 to Oman to join an international company called CCICL for one of their major projects. And after finishing that project, I was moved on to UAE. So I was blessed with a lot of petrochemical projects in 8 countries. And I had the privilege, of course, to serve eight countries as commercial CEO of the consortium of 3 multinational companies, CCICL, Mannesmann, and Saipem. After that, during the Gulf War, 1991, then I am on my own. Towards the end, in Saudi Arabia for Aramco project, I also served as a consultant as well as commercial CEO. After the Gulf War, then I am on my own with investments and some kind of business, and also I have developed a township in Bangalore. It is known as Hollywood Town, Swiss Town. I have set up one 5-star hotel, which is Clark's Exotica, which has won 12 international awards and 5 national awards.
So could you talk about how you began your philanthropy work?
I in fact started from my father. When I was pretty young, my father, I saw him the way he is doing his charity, even though his income was limited. And to tell you the story, in fact, it's all started from 1 rupee and 1 biryani. In fact, I asked my father when I was pretty young, I wanted to eat biryani. And father said he does not have enough money because he had finished his shopping, so I had to go back now. So I'll give you some vegetarian food. I said, fine. After some time, we were waiting for the bus to come. And then I saw a beggar coming, pushing, he was totally handicapped. He came very close to him asking for showing his hand, that he wants to have some food. Suddenly I saw my father taking out 1 rupee during that time and giving it to him. That really annoyed me. He deprived me from biryani, but then, he has given him 1 rupee. But later, I was annoyed, and in the evening he pacified me and he said, "Look, you have everything at home. You get all sort of non-veg food here. But that fellow, I don't know since how many days he has been hungry. So that's why we need to be always worry about others more than ourselves." That moved me. After I grown big, it flashed back, and later on I felt that I must do something, part little from what I have to the society that I have come from.
Secularism is a much debated topic in India, but in you perhaps, us Indians, we can see a quintessential secularist and a philanthropist, because your work has never been limited to just your community. So tell us, how did this come about? Was it migrating to another country? Is that how you gained a worldview, or was it always imbibed in you?
I come from a great country like India, and I always say that I am fortunate to have born in a country like India, which is having the largest democracy in the world. At the same time, look at the diversities that we have: region, religions, language, culture, tradition, food habits, dress habits, you name it, diversity in diversity, yet we have unity. We have oneness, we have Indianness, and we believe in communal harmony. So having that background, having grown with religious people all around me, I never thought that I belonged to this community or someone else belonged to the other community. When I started doing my philanthropic work, social or charitable work, I go by what they want, not what I want to give them. In fact, in one of the village, I wanted to give them drinking water facility, because I saw women were going nearly a kilometer with a vessel on their head. So I said, I'll try to dig one borewell and construct one water tank and give you a pipeline so that you don't have to do that. They refused. They said, "No, sir, we will get it done through panchayat. We need a temple here. We don't have a temple. Which god you pray to?" They said, "Muneshwara." I said, "Fine." So that's how I ended up giving a complete Hindu temple. It became a history in the entire country. It is a classic example of communal harmony, I would say that. At the end, all of us, we have the right to live in peace and dignity.
Absolutely.
And for that, communal harmony is very, very important.
Your focus in your philanthropic work has been a lot on education and education for all. Can you tell us what led to that and how did that come about?
See, any other kind of charity is one-time charity, and you need to repeat it again. Quality education at the basic level is so important. So you are creating means for their living, and at the same time to upgrade their living standard once they start earning. So that is why I focused especially in rural areas where the government does not have proper infrastructure, that wherever in my own level I could help in giving them proper infrastructure with all equipment, and plus providing some teachers from my side so that they can have quality education, because government school normally these people from slums and the backward communities and downtrodden Dalits, these are the people they go. Rest all they put them in so-called better schools or English-speaking schools. And these people will be deprived from that quality education at the basic level.
How did you exactly, channelize your passion for humanitarian work in so many different fields?
See, another important thing was the youth getting addicted to chemical substance abuses. I have served in Europe, US and Middle East. And during that time I have seen most of the countries, they have not given any thought or importance towards the youth getting addicted to chemical substance abuses, be it alcohol or drugs or tobacco, whatsoever. At one point of time, they realized nearly 40% of the youth are getting addicted to these chemical substance abusers. So that is the time they realized that future planners, bankers, administrators, everybody, engineers will have to come from that group. What will happen to the future of the country? Then they came out with a truckload of money and lot of departments to deal with. So when I landed in Mangalore, I saw about more than 42 educational institutions. I think it is one of the small town having largest number of educational institutions, and the students from more than 40 countries were studying there. Sensing that, I felt that I should have more effective campaigning against the chemical substance abuse, and that's how I set up the Link Anti-Addiction Counseling Center, De-Addiction Center. I gave them a 60-bedded hospital, and I am so happy today. We have been able to help more than 24,000 addicts, completely those who had cut off from the realities of life. We could bring them back. That means 24,000 families in over a period of 26 years. It started the 25th of August 1991.
Tell me what the success means to you.
Certainly I am happy, though in fact I have not anticipated or looked for any reward or award for any of my social and charitable work. When the recognition comes, certainly I'll accept it with all humility. I am extremely thankful to the Times Group as well as Times Now, and also the members of the jury for having chosen me for this coveted and prestigious award. I would say that this award is more prestigious because it is from my country, and therefore I am really happy.
Thank you so much for talking to us, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that brings the Times Now ICICI Bank NRI of the Year Awards 2017, powered by Global Indian International School, to a close. We'll see you next week.